Welcome back, folks. I hope you're doing alright. It seems like the last video hit the algorithm a bit, and people seem to enjoy the topic of expanding their horizons when it comes to video games. I received a lot of really nice comments, some of them telling their own stories and new experiences in video games. I also received some of the worst comments that I have ever received, yes, even worse than the one on the Zelda critique video, which in combination people called me an unfunctional member of society because normal people don't like variety, calling most different games woke or trash or weep shit, because it's also making me hella gay and even worse, an artist.
What?
I even left out some other comments because that would probably demonetize this video. I was just talking about people trying out more games. And to the multiple comments calling me out that not everybody is rich, Little Nightmares was €4, Enter the Gungeon as well. Games like God of War and Horizon are available for €15 sealed, physically. The only exception being Nintendo here. And respectfully, if I have to be brutally honest, if you can't even buy a game for plus minus €4, you probably have some bigger issues you have to take care of. And yes, most people understand that gaming is a rather expensive hobby. But let's not pretend that every new game or experience is $80 at minimum. Additionally, just because something doesn't apply or maybe work for you, doesn't mean it's instantly false. If I like apple pies and you hate apples, doesn't mean I'm wrong here. Man, it always happens when I hit the algorithm. That is so wild. And just so I mention it, comments like those that I mentioned previously will get you instantly banned. I don't care. Everyone, no matter who you are, everyone is allowed to watch my videos, share their own opinions, and discuss things either here or over on Discord. And if you can't be respectful, leaving such absolutely vile comments, you're gone. It honestly disgusts me. You are not welcome here. And why I mentioned it in the first place, if you should encounter any nasty comments appearing under your comment, please feel free to send in a screenshot over into the feedback channel on our Discord. Everything inside is anonymous and is invisible to others. Some creator may leave the toxic comments for increased engagement, but it is my channel and I want a peaceful place for everyone, really. Simple as that. But let us start with the actual video. One comment in particular mentioned that they expected some more game recommendations from me. And technically I did mention a few, but why not dive a bit deeper and recommend some more? This could be perfect for anyone who's looking to explore maybe more niche titles beyond the usual really big games. But I will start with some better known games and gradually descend into more obscure titles. And you probably already know what I'm gonna start with. I mentioned it before, but it wouldn't be a Sparks Opus video if I didn't mention it. Xenoblade Chronicles. Oh my god, you're so predictable, Sparks Opus. That's only said by people who haven't experienced these games. Xenoblade Chronicles offers one of the best fictional universes I have ever encountered. A complex, rich story, a beautiful world full of exploration, fun gameplay, and memorable characters. The voice acting is some of the best, though it also has some of the absolute worst. Can't deny that. But the music, don't even get me started. It's just peak. You're essentially gaining a album of 10 hours of music with the free game coming with it. It's great, really. And for anyone who thinks Xenoblade isn't niche anymore for whatever reason, the entire series has sold around 8.7 million copies. That includes a remake and a demake of the first game. And if you consider that Metroid, another Nintendo franchise, has only sold about 21 million copies across, yeah, many games, that is still pretty niche compared to, heck, Animal Crossing New Horizons. This game alone sold more than the entire lifetime sales of the Xenoblade, Metroid, and Pikmin series combined. So yes, I still consider Xenoblade niche, but you can play nearly the entire series.
Oh.
so that's nice. Metroid. As a Metroid fan, I can confidently say that both the 2D and 3D entries in the series are fantastic. Metroid is part of what essentially created the Metroidvania genre, with atmospheric gameplay heavily inspired also by the Alien movies. The games feature immersive environments, fascinating lore, addictive gameplay, and exploration-heavy puzzles with hidden items that reward thoroughness. Metroid Dread, the latest to the entry, plays smoother than ever really, and with all the fluid movements and cool upgrades that you can receive and intense boss fights, it really emphasizes that Samus is an absolute badass and unstoppable force. And while I'm also one of the people who's still waiting for ports on Metroid Prime 2 and 3, the Prime Remaster is one of the best looking games that is out right now on the current Switch. An absolute must-buy, honestly. Plus, thanks to Nintendo Switch Online, you can play the entire 2D series on one system. Definitely worth checking out. Mario and Luigi series.
Wait, Mario? Niche?
Yes. Despite the Mario brand, the Mario and Luigi RPG series is relatively small, with around 12.76 million units sold across all games and ports as of December 2022, and as a matter of fact, Alpha Dream, the developer, even went bankrupt. But luckily, a new entry in the series is finally on the way after 9 years. The best part about these games? They offer genuinely engaging stories, more than the typical Save the Princess plot, with exploration, hidden items and accessories, and plenty of innovative ideas, like the Nintendo DS kaiju battles that make you turn the console sideways. These games are full of surprises really, and combat is turn-based and includes quick-time events, which makes it feel dynamic and fun. Although the previous games are stuck on Nintendo handhelds and not available to a lot of people, with the only exception being on NSO Superstar Saga, absolutely recommending this one too, I'm optimistic that the new entry will bring back the magic, and especially with some ex-Alpha Dream developers on board again. Pikmin. I mean, one have to admit that Pikmin is currently quite on the rise, on its way to leave the niche spot. It's a real-time strategy game where you manage up to 100 Pikmin, directing them to fight, collect treasure and avoid peril. Usually trying to survive and leave the planet as fast as possible. It is one of the cutest, yet most stressful games that I have ever played. I love Pikmin, let me just throw that in. Like I said, it is starting to grow in popularity thanks to the Switch effect. Plus, Pikmin is one of the few Nintendo games that leans into a more realistic art style, and it looks genuinely fantastic, especially Pikmin 3 and 4. All of the 4 main entries are available on the Switch, so it's a perfect time to dive in. Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem is another series that, while growing in popularity, still hasn't reached the top tier of Nintendo franchises. With around 18 million units sold across all its entries, it is still considered somewhat niche. The gameplay is tactical and chess-like, allowing you to train units as mages, knights or Pegasus riding warriors, each with unique strengths and abilities. Three Houses in particular offers a social aspect where you can build relationships with characters, share meals, complete side quests and more. It has multiple story paths. It has great music, lovable characters, and an engaging strategy-based gameplay. I'm hilarious. Definitely worth playing if you're asking me. There's also Engage. It has good gameplay. Hi-Fi Rush. Hi-Fi Rush is an energetic fusion of rhythm-based action and vibrant visuals. The gameplay revolves around combat sequences that sync up perfectly with the game's pulsating soundtrack, which is by the way also fire, and boy let me tell you, the entire world vibes in sync with the rhythm. I mean logically the rhythm mechanics require you to time your attacks, dodges and combos to the beat, creating a fluid and highly satisfying combat experience. The visuals are pretty rad and colorful. reminiscent of the, comic books, and you do notice that a lot of love and care has been put into this game. You really feel like it while playing through the story and watching the cutscenes. The variety in enemy designs and boss battles keeps things fresh, while the quirky cast of characters adds charm to the game and humor to the overall experience. Definitely recommending this one too. It's also on Game Pass. Subnautica. In Subnautica, you will find yourself stranded on an alien ocean planet where you must explore the depths to survive. The game's open world is beautiful, with bioluminescent underwater caves, massive coral structures, and a rich array of marine life, sometimes being borderline a horror game. Crafting is essential as you're collecting resources to build everything from diving suits to underwater bases. The progression from basic survival to deep sea exploration is incredibly enjoyable, and definitely an experience I didn't have before. One of the best and most immersive survival games I have ever played. Also with a compelling story revealed through scattered data logs and environmental storytelling, thanks to you having a scanner. Like I said, I like lore. The ambient soundtrack and immersive sound design heighten the tension as you encounter mysterious and yes, often dangerous creatures in the dark ocean depths. Genuinely, what a fantastic game. Please give this one a try. The sequel is also right, not as good as the first one, but still, it is a great experience. Available on most platforms. Okay, dude, no, unironically, how many more times? We had Epic Mickey, then we had not too long ago Alien Isolation 2, and now I make a video where I talk about Subnautica, and on the Xbox Partner Showcase there's Subnautica 2? Dude, Subnautica 2? Fire. Man, this also co-op experience. I have to find another creator. If another creator who loves Subnautica is watching this right now, preferably also who loves Xenoblade for the, connection between the viewer bases, please let me know. Text me on Discord. That would be great, thank you. The Evil Within. The Evil Within offers a classic survival horror experience, blending psychological terror with gruesome enemies and environments. You're stepping into the shoes of Detective Sebastian Castellanos, navigating a nightmarish world filled with grotesque monsters. The game emphasizes resource management, something that you also kinda know from the games like Resident Evil or Alien Isolation, and you'll often have to choose between fighting or sneaking past your enemies. The story will take you on a twisted, almost psychedelic journey through surreal, ever-changing landscapes where reality and nightmare kinda blend together. The game's haunting soundtrack and oppressive atmosphere make every encounter tense and interesting. It wasn't that long ago that it was more or less confirmed that a third game was, well, unfortunately cancelled. And considering that the second game had a little teaser for the third game, I'm a bit sad about the state of the series. There aren't enough slightly higher budget horror games out there, but still, the first two games, I definitely recommend them. I can't deny that the games had some obvious issues, but even then, it is worth the experience in my opinion. They are both good games, and also on Game Pass. Portal mods. The original two Portal games are masterpieces. There's no discussion to be made here, but I'll cut it short. There is also a cool mod called Revolution that comes for free if you own the second game. And I just want to mention that mods are cool too. If you own a PC, you should try some mods for games you love. And I streamed Revolution. The story was okay, but the gameplay was fantastic, and honestly it did feel like a Portal 3 a bit, so I recommend it. Little Nightmares and Reanimal. Little Nightmares immerses you in a disturbing world where childhood fears come to life. The game's protagonist, a small kid named Six, navigates a twisted landscape filled with creatures straight out of your nightmares. No pun intended, I actually mean it. The eerie soundtrack, which I absolutely love, heck, I have the TV edition for too, and atmospheric sound design enhanced the sense of dread as you sneak past a lot of monstrous foes. though I'm not sure where the series is heading. Tarsier Studios left the IP wanting to create a IP of their own, because, you know, Bandai Namco owns Little Nightmares. So now Reanimal exists, a spiritual successor, though honestly it is technically Little Nightmares 3. It looks more like it than the supermassive version of the Little Nightmares 3, which is actually the real Little Nightmares 3. In any case, Reanimal is continuing the dark aesthetic, seemingly offering new environments and creatures that feel both whimsical and, man, terrifying. Personally, I love their unique art style and the lore behind the games. The first game was already great, but the second one? Peak. PC, consoles, you can get it everywhere for quite cheap. Ori. The Ori games are celebrated for their breathtaking art style, their fluent gameplay, and also emotionally resonant stories. Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisps follow a small spirit journey through a magical forest, making you try to overcome obstacles and battling foes to save the forest. The platforming is tight and responsive, with abilities that allow you to dash, glide, grapple. You are given a lot of options. The orchestral soundtrack is deeply emotive, perfectly complementing the game's themes of friendship, loss, and hope. Each area is meticulously crafted, filled with hidden secrets and challenges that encourage you to explore the entire map, which overall makes for an absolute fantastic experience in every sense of the word. Available on Game Pass. Alien Isolation, yes, I mentioned it. Dude, it captures the claustrophobic terror of the Alien franchise so perfectly, placing you on a derelict space station hunted by a relentless xenomorph. And I'm not even saying that this is the only problem you will have on the ship. The alien adapting to your actions, creating a dynamic and being an unpredictable threat that keeps you constantly on edge. I played it in Nightmare mode, and I must know, the game's retro-futuristic aesthetic faithfully recreates the look and feel of the original movie, while the sound design, whew, it heightens the tension with every creak and hissing in the vents. Stealth is crucial, as direct combat is not exactly an option, making every encounter with the alien a truly terrifying game of cat and mouse. One of the best, if not the best, horror game there is, available on most platforms. The Switch port is actually almost identical, if not even slightly better than the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One versions, like the visual effects and something. I'm not a professional, but in any case, if you only have a Switch, it's a great game also on that system. Hollow Knight. At this point, is Hollow Knight technically niche? I would say it isn't anymore, but you know, if you loved Metroid Dread and the Ori games, you would do yourself a disservice by not playing this game. I will warn you though, this game is hard and becomes rather frustrating at times. Just being honest here, still worth getting for a few bucks on sale on most platforms. Doki Doki Literature Club and Emio the Smiling Man. Doki Doki Literature Club is a light-hearted visual novel with anime girls. Sometimes the game breaks the fourth wall, manipulating files and stuff for quite an unique experience. It also tackles some more mature themes, creating also a very interesting story. I'm not a big visual novel guy, but I can appreciate what they are. And once again, the game is absolutely worth the experience alone. There's also Emio's The Smiling Man, following a similar path through its transforming mundane interactions into some terrifying encounters. Both games use subtle storytelling and psychological tricks to create lasting impact, leaving you haunted by their experience long after they have been finished. And maybe I'm overdoing it a bit. I haven't even played the game actually. Just the demo over 3 chapters, and honestly I really enjoyed it. And I heard some great stuff about it, so, you know, give it a shot. I should give it a shot too. LEGO City Undercover. LEGO City Undercover combines open world exploration with the trademark humor and charm of LEGO games, resulting in essentially LEGO GTA. You take on the role of Chase McCain, a cop on a mission to stop crime in a sprawling Lego city. The game features a variety of vehicles, disguises, and abilities that allow you to explore every corner of the city, collecting bricks and uncovering secrets. I 100%ed the game on the Wii U, and yes, that includes all of the costumes. The story is filled with clever references to pop culture, a lot of it, making it enjoyable for players of all ages really. And the cooperative multiplayer mode, considering you have friends, adds some fun extras, allowing said friends, if available, to join in on the action. Celeste. Celeste is a challenging platformer that tells the story of Madeline, a young woman climbing a mountain while confronting her inner struggles. The game's tight controls and well-designed levels demand precision and perseverance, but frequent checkpoints and an assist mode make it accessible to players of all skill levels. The pixel art style is beautifully detailed and the dynamic soundtrack adapts to your progress, enhancing the overall impact of each level. Themes of mental health and self-acceptance are woven into the story and gameplay, making Celeste a deeply personal and honestly really rewarding experience. I streamed it too. I loved it to bits. Astral Chain. Say it with me. Astral Chain is an underrated gem. It introduces you to a futuristic city where you control both a detective, aka policeman, aka badass anime boy or girl, and your trusty combat partner, the Legion, in multiple synchronized battles. The game's dual character combat system is innovative and a bit overwhelming. But once it clicks even harder than the Nintendo Switch logo. Truly satisfying, allowing you to chain together combos and strategically positioning your Legion for maximum impact. The vibrant world is filled with hidden collectibles, side missions and stylish NPCs, adding quite some depth to the main story. It is also one of the most visually pleasing titles on the Switch, especially on an OLED, quite a treat. The game's soundtrack is a blend of electronic and orchestral music that complements the high-energy battles and investigative segments. Look, I'll say it, the soundtrack kicks ass, and that's a fact. Mickey Epic. Epic Mickey, also known as Epic Mickey or Mickey Epic, is a platformer that lets players use a magical paintbrush to alter the game world. That being one of the edgiest Nintendo games to date, and not gonna lie, it's kind of fantastic. Players can choose to create or erase various elements in the game, affecting the story and the characters they encounter. The game's art style is inspired by classic Disney cartoons with beautifully animated characters and environments. The story pays homage to Disney's forgotten characters and worlds, making it a nostalgic experience for fans of classic Disney. And especially with the new remake, I absolutely recommend this gem. It really is great. Neo: The World Ends With You. Neo: The World Ends With You continues the unique style of the original game, which I, by the way, haven't played yet. I've been told that there are some connections here, but I don't know. With fast-paced combat, a vibrant urban setting, and a catchy soundtrack. As you probably realized, I love horror, edginess, and good music. The game follows a group of characters caught in a deadly game that challenges them to survive in a stylized version of Tokyo. The combat system is dynamic, allowing you to control multiple characters and switch between abilities on the fly. The game's story is filled with twists and turns, and the characters are also memorable, each with their own personality and motivations. One thing I'll say is that you notice a lack of budget, I'd say. Voice acting being sometimes present, sometimes not, you sometimes having to run from A to B and then back from B to A, reading quite a bit of text to progress the story, but it does have quite a few interesting concepts and ideas. It is worth to at least look into it. It is by Square Enix, by the way. There is something Final Fantasy to it, though I haven't played those games either, so who am I to say that? Also available on most platforms. Amnesia Collection.
Is it niche?
Probably not, but oh well. The Amnesia collection includes 3 horror games that focus on psychological terror and atmospheric storytelling. Each game immerses you in a different setting, from a decaying castle to an industrial nightmare, where you must solve puzzles and avoid certain creatures. The games are known for their lack of combat, forcing you to rely on stealth and quick thinking to survive. They definitely aged a bit, but even then, the sound design and atmosphere is haunting, with whispers and creaks and footsteps adding to the sense of dread that permeates each environment. Burnout Paradise. The Burnout series is renowned for its high-speed racing and spectacular crashes. You can engage in traditional races or take part in the iconic Crash mode, where the goal is to cause as much destruction as possible. The game's arcade-style controls make it easy to pick up and play, while the aggressive AI and traffic-packed tracks add to the overall intensity. The series' signature takedown mechanic allows you to eliminate your enemies with precision in crashes, adding an extra layer of strategy to the chaos. I'm not sure about the current state of this IP. I don't remember the last time we actually received a new Burnout, but the older games are definitely worth checking out, and especially Burnout Paradise. Dirt Showdown. The game relied quite a bit on the online aspect, but man, Dirt Showdown took the Dirt series and added a demolition derby twist, with events focused on crashing and doing stunts. The game features a variety of modes, including head-to-head, elimination, and 8-ball races, each with a different focus on destruction. The over-the-top announcers and energetic soundtrack added to the arcade feel, making it so much fun, and a pretty chaotic experience that's easy to enjoy. There's technically still the single-player campaign to enjoy. I mean, you can get it for dirt cheap now. Layers of Fear. Layers of Fear is a psychological horror game that puts players on the role of a painter struggling with madness. You know, I could pull the excuse of it being Halloween month, but hey, what can I say? I love horror games, I really do. The game's environments constantly shift and distort, creating a surreal experience where reality bends and breaks around you constantly. The story unfolds through exploration, with scattered notes and audio logs revealing the painter's tragic past. The game's visuals are beautiful, with twisted art and disturbing imagery that reflect the character's deteriorating. His mind is breaking, he's becoming crazy. I want to improve my scripts with more impressive words, but I just suck at English, man. Okay, it's a good game, moving on. Spiral Knights. This game makes me sad. It also relied heavily on its multiplayer, but Spiral Knights is a cooperative action RPG with a charming art style and simple yet satisfying combat. Players explore randomly generated dungeons filled with monsters, traps, and treasures. The game's focus on teamwork and strategy makes it quite ideal for groups, as you and your team must work together to overcome increasingly difficult challenges, fighting bosses, and try your best to eventually reach the core of the planet, the Clockwork. The bright, colorful art style and absolutely superb music create a light-hearted atmosphere that is, in my opinion, absolutely worth to at least experience once. Enter the Gungeon. Enter the Gungeon combines roguelike mechanics with fast-paced bullet hell combat. You explore a dungeon filled with quirky weapons, eccentric characters, and unpredictable enemies. The game's art style is colorful, with unique designs for each weapon and enemy. The humor and variety of weapons absolutely add to the game's charm, making each run feel different and exciting. The game rewards your skill and strategy, with challenging bosses and lots of secrets that encourage exploration and experimentation. Available on most platforms. Also, I forgot to say that Layers of Fear is, by the way, also available on most platforms, and Spiral Knight and Dirt Showdown is only available on PC. Also, Burnout Paradise and Amnesia Collection is also available on most platforms. I guess that's also important to mention. My script is a mess. There's also Slender the Arrival, and this is the last horror game, I promise. This one expands the Slenderman mythos, creating a tense and atmospheric experience, of course, which is, in my opinion, the best Slenderman game there is. You explore dark forests, abandoned buildings, and some other eerie locations while being followed by, of course, the Slenderman. The game's minimalist approach to storytelling allows you to fill in the blanks, making the experience feel more personal and quite terrifying. The game's sound design is particularly effective, with unsettling ambient noises and sudden audio cues that keep you on edge. Evoland. Evoland is a unique RPG, not gonna lie. It takes you on a journey through the history of video games, starting with simple monochrome graphics, where the game gradually introduces new mechanics and visuals that mimic different eras of gaming, from 8-bit RPGs to modern 3D action-adventure. The game is filled with references to classic games, making it also a nostalgic experience for longtime gamers. Each change in graphics and gameplay adds a new twist, keeping the experience very interesting and engaging. Definitely worth looking into. Edna and Harvey, Harvey's New Eyes. This game is made by some German folks as far as I know. It is a darkly humorous point-and-click adventure that follows the story of Lily, a young girl with a, let's say, vivid imagination. The game's quirky art style and offbeat characters make it a memorable experience, with puzzles that range from logical to bizarre. The story explores themes of innocence and repression, with a surreal twist that adds depth to the otherwise whimsical setting. The game's dark humor, though man, dark is a bit of an understatement, it sure left its mark on my mind as a child, and its clever writing make it a standout in the point-and-click adventure genre. Dead Cells. Is it niche? You love Ori, Hollow Knight, you love roguelikes, a match made in heaven. There you go, do yourself a favor, let's go. Risk of Rain 2. This game brings the roguelike formula into a 3D world, offering cooperative multiplayer and a wide variety of characters, each with unique abilities. The game's randomized items and scaling difficulty make each run feel fresh, with you constantly adapting to new challenges. The game's vibrant alien environments are filled with strange creatures and hidden secrets, encouraging exploration and experimentation. The game's progression system rewards you for your persistence, with unlockable characters and abilities that add depth to the gameplay. I can't speak for other physical versions, but the Switch version also includes the first game, which is pretty solid for the experience alone. And then there's also Pineapple on Pizza for PC. It's free. Life-changing experience. Some games I still want to try are A Hat in Time, Dredge, Penny's Big Breakaway, Inscription, Outer Wilds. I heard some fantastic things about those games. Of course, also some bigger IPs like Halo, Kingdom Hearts, Nier, and in general also experience more games from the Xbox and PlayStation library, but this is about niche games. You guys did well leaving quite a few recommendations in the previous video, so if you haven't watched it, definitely do, because I think, yeah, it is a great place if you want to gather some new experiences. I really appreciate all of your guys' effort. Any game from this list that has caught your attention? Which is it? And why? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. I thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you were all able to find something to try out. I wish you all a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye folks, see you guys later.